this agenda today is going to talk about a handful of different things. So I have a presentation. I'll talk about, why and how Streak can help. I'll talk about different ways that you can construct a pipeline to track your own processes. I'm going to cover Streak snippets because I think within the talent agency world, snippets are super supportive to this specific use case. There might be also some time for us to talk about how we can automate the follow-up work, especially for talent management, talent managers. I know how frequently you're in your inbox and you want to be able to take some of that follow-up work out and have the tool do it for you. So a lot of different ways to kind of automate that follow-up work, and we'll cover that as well. So understanding why this session will help you, and in general, why Streak is a really helpful tool is Streak is integrated inside your Gmail inbox. So for people who are actively emailing for their day job, 8 hours in your inbox, having a tool that's really lightweight and lean and inside your inbox gives you the ability to move faster. There's also features with inside Streak that allow you to automate pieces of your workflow. So that's another reason why Streak can be very helpful. There's another tool within Streak called Snippets that allows you to templatize commonly emailed phrases. So if you find yourself sending out your creator rates or metrics and things like that to brands, there's a way to templatize that to make sure it's getting sent easily without you having to type it every time. And really, ultimately, Streak is really here to help you close more brand deals. I know that that's a lot of kind of the main goal of being a talent manager is closing those brand deals, helping the creators make their livings, and helping yourself as well. So that's really one of the main reasons why Streak can be so helpful to you. Thinking about how Streak can work within the talent agency use case, there's a lot of different ways. Streak is such an adaptable tool, and a lot of talent agencies come from using a spreadsheet, primarily Google Sheets. Maybe you use Excel as well. So thinking about how Streak can work for you, I recommend you apply the knowledge of how you used to use a Google Sheet, because essentially that's what Streak is. It's a Google Sheet inside your Gmail inbox. It's extremely customizable to you, to what you need to track, and allows you to continue existing in your inbox without having to go to Google Sheets to manually copy and paste your brand deal information. Primarily, I see a lot of talent agencies use Streak for scouting and recruiting new talent onto your roster. So that's one process. There is another main process that I see a lot of TMs use, which is tracking the entire brand deal journey. So that includes contract negotiation and tracking, as well as cross-functional team collaboration, because not only are you as the talent manager working with the brand, negotiating a contract for your creator, after that contract is negotiated, there's probably a payment process, right? We need to figure out how the talent can get paid. We need to figure out how your agency can get paid. We need to figure out how to bill that brand. And so that is an entire process that can be tracked from start to finish to make sure the brand is paying you, making sure the brand is paying your creator as well. There's also a really great tool within Streak that allows you to handle all of your communication about your entire roster, as well as with all of the brand agencies that you work. So a really common example of that type of workflow is, let's say you have 15 different agencies that you do brand deals with, and at the end of Q4, you want to reach out to all of those different agencies, let them know who's on your roster, and see if anyone has any additional marketing spend before the end of the year. You don't want to have to email each individual agency with that content. Streak can allow you to create that content one time. You send that email to all 15 different agencies. It looks like they're getting a direct message sent to you, but you've really taken off that work. So that allows you to say, create this email one time, send it to all my agencies, and schedule a follow-up as well. So those are kind of some of the common workflows that I see with teams that use Streak here. Covering what Streak snippets are. A handful of you have probably already seen this, but again, I just want to give you an overview. This is really an entry-level session for people who may have used Streak a little bit and are looking to get a little bit more experienced in the tool. A snippet is something that lives inside your Gmail Compose window. And a really common use case of using the signature is, let's say you hop into a thread between a brand and a creator, and you want to just throw your signature in. The thread has 4 or 5 different replies. You're a new talent manager coming into the chat here, and you want to say, hey, happy to help out. I'm going to jump in on this thread. And then you want to insert your signature. You can see the snippet feature exists with inside Streak when you open your Gmail Compose window. You want to look for this grid icon. This icon, as well as the orange plus sign that you see right here, those are Streak icons. The snippet icon specifically is that paper stacked icon. And what that is the tool that allows you to create a snippet from your Gmail Compose. So this next image here is a GIF showing you how I, as a talent manager, hopped into a thread that I'm not currently CC'd on. there's a feature within Streak that allows you to press reply all. You can reply to a thread that you're not on, jump into that, and here I write, I'm jumping into help here. And then all I did at the end there was type in ESIG, and that inserts my signature. So rather than having to go into any other setting to make sure my signature is inserted, I just do a quick little keyboard shortcut and that's inserted. So you can think about applying this. We'll show you how to create this live in the demo. Like, let's say, for example, you have rates that are for a specific talent. You want to jump into a thread and provide your talent's rates to the brand. There's a way for the snippet feature to allow you to do that with just a few clicks on your keyboard. We'll also I'll do a live demo about how the mail merge feature can work. But what you're reading here is an example email of how a email can be templatized and sent across to multiple different agencies. So this is an example where I say, I'm checking in on your holiday campaigns. I want to email all of my different brand contacts. And I want to tell them like, hey, I know it's November. I wanted to let you know that there's some updates to my roster. I'm representing some new talent. I'd love to see if there's any opportunity for this talent to work with your brand. And this is something I can send to more than one agency. And you can see this green highlight here is what we call a variable. So I can go ahead and send a message to 10 or 15 different people, but make sure everyone has their given name highlighted so everybody gets that direct personalized message. You can also see in this example, I've created what we call a drip campaign. It's an email sequence with automatic follow-ups. So not only do I have the first message about how how my roster is going, if you're interested in working with any of my talent, I also schedule a follow-up to go out. And you can see here, it says, if no reply, wait 3 business days and send a second message. And you can kind of see the content here. It's just wanting to bump this note in case in case you missed it. So this is one example of how you can automate your work and really take away the manual follow-up by telling the system, hey, I'm going to send this agency a message, but if they don't reply to me in 3 days, let's bump that message back to them. Takes all of the work out of it for you, does it automatically. I haven't seen anything go on in the chat, but just thought I'd take a break here and see if there is anything else we want to chat about, Liz.
It seems that no questions yet, so
cool.
Wait, Jamie's typing, so should we wait for a second?
Yeah, I'll keep going, but whatever Jamie says, I'm sure we can see what she says. I'll also cover what this slide is in a live demo as well. I think something that can be really powerful inside Streak and inside your Gmail inbox is learning how to effectively search. So what this screenshot is it's showing a screenshot of the Gmail search bar. And I'm searching for, in this example, it's a brand name. Kinfield is a brand. You can use the Gmail search bar to search for Streak data as well as Gmail data. And I'll kind of dive into this a little bit more thoroughly within the live demo. But I think if you take away anything from this class, figuring out how you might be able to effectively search your Gmail inbox and your Streak data is a really good takeaway, because that's one of the key things that's going to allow you to move faster.
So we do have some questions over here in the chat. So Brooke is asking if there's anything that sets the Streak snippets apart from Gmail snippets.
Yeah, Brooke, I'd have to familiarize myself with the Gmail snippets, but one thing I know for sure that separates them that Gmail doesn't offer is you can share a snippet with your entire team. And I'll show you what that looks like. But let's say you and another talent manager are currently covering a similar roster. There might be some overlap between some of the creators that you're managing, or you're covering for a creator. You're covering for a talent manager, excuse me. So that talent manager could have specific rates to their talent. They can share those as snippets, and then you have access to that copy as well. So I think that is one thing that is different from Gmail snippets is the ability to share templated phrases, templated messages across your Streak team.
Then Jamie's asking, when you send a mail merge, do you have to manually add each thread to a box, or is there a way to automate that?
There is a way to automate that as well, Jamie, and I'll cover that in the live demo. But depending on how you're sending the mail merge, if you send a mail merge from the pipeline view, then those email threads are automatically added to the boxes. Based off how you're asking the question, it sounds like you might be using the send a mail merge from a CVS, which is also a totally great way to use the tool. So I can kind of cover that in a live demo, but the short answer is you can associate the threads to the right boxes. It should do that for you automatically. Cool. All right, so let's see what else was going on here in my presentation. Great. So this is what we're going to cover in the live demo. We're going to talk briefly about how emails can get added to Streak. We'll talk about pipelines, how to filter them, the snippets tool, the mail merge tool, and then the search feature if there's time as well. Okay, so pulling up my Gmail inbox here, and let me go ahead and go full screen, and we will kind of start the demo. So there's a couple different things that you can do when you're in your Gmail inbox that really incorporate using Streak right away. One common workflow that I know a lot of talent managers will do is, let's say, for example, they want to reach out because they found a new talent that they don't think has any coverage, right? They don't think this creator is represented by any other agency. They want to be the one to represent them. So this is an example email of a talent manager reaching out to a content creator asking if they're open to exploring management. And so this is speaking to how I would recruit active talent and put them on my roster. I have an email here that I sent from my inbox. What I would do next is click the orange plus sign. This is a Streak icon, and this is me telling Streak, go ahead and put this email inside a specific pipeline in my Streak. And so what this does is you're in your inbox, but right away I can go ahead and say, okay, I know Aisha is the content creator that I want to track in my talent recruitment process. So my talent recruitment pipeline is here, and this email is going to go inside that pipeline. What you'll see right away is Streak takes the subject line of the email, makes that the box name. For most talent managers, it doesn't seem like that really bothers you. Sometimes I feel like that offers visibility into the fact that this is the email that you're talking about. But what's really helpful in this next view is kind of the opportunity to track other fields. So let's say, for example, her handle is Aisha Knows Best. Okay, we can go ahead and create that as a handle because I know that that's how I found her. And this is kind of the entry level start of me tracking this person in my roster pipeline. If, for example, she becomes unresponsive, I can update the stages directly from my Gmail inbox as well. If we chat back and forth and we want to trial her on the roster, I can go ahead and update that as well. And so thinking about how Streak works inside your inbox, I think using the sidebar is a really great gateway into understanding how Streak will work for you because, again, being a talent manager, most of your job is really back and forth with brands, back and forth with agencies, back and forth with creators. And if you're not in your inbox, you may just be on social media platforms doing that. Streak makes it really easy for you to see and track your process without really having to leave the thread that you're on. If we take a step back and we talk about how Streak uses pipelines, those are those processes that we track inside Streak. So a pipeline speaks to a workflow, and the workflow that I was just talking about is my talent recruitment tracking. So you can see in this example, we have a handful of different stages and a handful of what we call columns. These columns allow me to track details about the roster, about the active talent that I want to put on my roster. You have a lot of flexibility in customizing this because, again, like I mentioned, it's a giant spreadsheet inside your Gmail inbox. So not only do you want to track the industry that they could be inside of, their Instagram handle, the brand or agency that may want to work with them, you have the flexibility to add another handful of different columns with inside Streak to continue to track your process. There are special columns inside Streak called magic columns. And I think especially from an email related point of view, the email magic columns are super supportive in this use case because I can see, for example, when was the date of the last email and whether that was the date of the last email sent, the date of the last email received. I can display that as a data point within my pipeline. And that allows me to say, I emailed these people on these dates. Another really helpful email magic column is email tracking. If you want to see if a brand or agency or talent has opened up your email, you can see the date of the last tracked view and display that in your pipeline. And that can be really helpful as well because this is telling me like, oh, I reached out to this talent. It looks like they opened my email on November 13th. I wonder if they're interested. I wonder if I should follow up, waiting for a reply. So that's kind of an entry level understanding how a pipeline can work from your inbox and then leveraging the follow-ups to understand who you might want to follow up with or who you're waiting on a reply from. The next thing that I want to touch base on is within like an active campaign process. And I'm just going to make sure I'm covering everything here. Pipelines and how to filter them. Yes. So speaking again to how you can filter pipelines, this is another pipeline I have within the talent management world that allows me to say, have I received any emails? How many emails have I received? I have a handful of different current brands that are pitching me that I'm trying to work with all of my different talent. So if, for example, Emmanuel comes to me and he's like, hey, what active campaigns are you working on for me? Who are you pitching? Who might be coming in my pipeline? If I wanted to see all of the active pitches that I'm working on for one creator, you can choose to filter that creator down. And I can see, oh, it looks like I have 2 current brands in the pitching stage. One is Obviously, and one is the brand OXO. And so this kind of gives you a little bit of a bird's eye view, a little bit more leverage over the process that you're tracking, and then gives you that open line of communication between you and your creator of what's going on, the work you're doing for them, and how you can kind of display that or explain that to them. Switching lanes here, back to my Gmail inbox, I want to touch briefly on creating a snippet inside Streak just to show you what that looks like live. This is an example email of a brand, IKEA, that reached out to one of my creators on my roster, and they're interested in working with Emmanuel. Also, if you haven't seen this person's content, he is amazing. He does a lot of really good recipes. But anyways, let's say I am managing Emmanuel, and I want to let the IKEA team know, yep, happy to help with this. These are Emmanuel's rates. I have Emmanuel's rates already laid out in a draft here. And this is where you can come in and you can say, let me create these as a snippet so that as I'm in my inbox, rather than having to copy and paste, I can just do a quick keyboard shortcut and insert them into my email. So since I have the content already in a Gmail compose window here, I'm going to click the snippet here to create a snippet from draft. And I'm just going to call it Manual's rates, and then ED. We'll do a shortcut and his initials, maybe hashtag ED. And this is where the snippet feature is different from the Gmail feature. So you can see how right now, if it's not currently shared to a pipeline, but I can choose to share that to my active campaign pipeline. So anybody else that has a conversation with a brand that's interested in wrapping a manual, they can provide their rates. So also you can see I'm not really doing any customization at the top here. In general, this is the content that I want to insert. So if I go ahead and hit create, I'm going to go ahead and leave the snippet feature now. And now I'm going to reply back to this brand. When I reply, hey, IKEA, all I have to do now is do the shortcut to insert Emmanuel's rates. So I would do hashtag ED. Excuse me, there's actually, it seems like there might be another hashtag. So let me just go ahead and change the shortcut code here. Maybe we'll do an and sign for now. Let's see if there's any other and sign snippets in here. Okay, perfect. That's the only one. Okay, we'll try this one more time. So all I did was I did and ED, and then it inserted the rates as well as kind of the reply I would want to say. So that's an example of how a snippet can be very supportive to you because, again, you're constantly in your email, you're constantly replying to existing threads. If you're saying the same thing multiple times, even if it's just let me know if you need anything else, best, you can snippetize that. And instead of typing that out, all you have to do is say hashtag let, and it'll type out. So that's one really easy way to move fast as well as leverage Streak within your tool. All right, I'll go ahead and send that off. And now I'm going to kind of switch over to talking about mail merge. Before I talk about the mail merge tool, are there any other questions I might be able to answer? Looks like the chat's doing okay. Okay, cool. What I will touch base on next is what we call a mail merge tool, a feature. So within your Streak, you can see, again, these are where the pipelines exist. These are where I'm tracking all of those processes. I also have mail merges. So the mail merge section speaks to any type of mail merge I've sent, and you can see at a bird's eye view what mail merges I've sent, as well as the viewed, clicked, and replied rate. This checking in on your holiday campaign is a mail merge that I sent recently to one contact. And you can see the more that you use the mail merge tool, the easier it will be to understand how these statistics will support you. But again, it's just talking about who's viewing your message, how many people are you sending to, who maybe clicked the links inside, or who replied. We also have an unsubscribed feature as well. So people can choose to unsubscribe and you can track that. If I wanted to, let's say, add additional people to this mail merge or create a new mail merge, this is how you would do it. So the first thing that I need to make sure that I do is I need to make sure that I have email addresses within the contact and organization section. So if I just go ahead and add a few different email addresses in here. We're just going to add myself just a few different times. Okay, so now you can see I have a couple different email addresses, and let's say I want to send a mail merge to these customers. I can come in here and choose to select the boxes of the people I want to email. Once you select the boxes, that's where you see this feature come up. And this is where you can say, okay, let's create a new mail merge, or let's reference an existing mail merge. If I wanted to add all of those people to that existing mail merge, this is how I would do it, right? I created the content one time. Now I'm adding a couple new people to it. If, for example, I want to create a new mail merge, again, this is just like the Gmail Compose UI. The only thing that's different is you curate the mail merge one time, and maybe this is holiday marketing send ? Here is where you can really leverage the power of customization. So if, for example, I want to go ahead and include custom names, once I tab over to my recipients drawer, you can see I'm emailing a handful of different people. However, for one person, I haven't set their contact given name, and the system is asking me to do that. I know this person's name is Luke, so I'll go ahead and update that as well. And now you can see for the 5 different recipients that I'm emailing how the variable customization happens. The other thing that's really powerful about this part of the tool is it's not just a first name flexibility that you can use. You can reference a person's first name, but there's also box custom columns that you can reference, like the brand or agency, or let's say the talent IG's handle. So in this example, if I'm reaching out to a handful of different agencies, asking if they want to work with my talent, and I wanted to provide that specific talent's handle, this is referencing, you know, that handle within the box here. So, you know, would you like to work with at this person? That's one specific way to reach out to a handful of different people, but include customizations unique to who they've previously worked with. Because if, for example, this agency has previously worked with Danny Loves Pasta or Feel Good Foodie, you can send a quick note to all of those agencies and say, hey, I know you've worked with this specific talent. Are you interested in working with them again? So just kind of one simple way to add customization to the tool. The next thing that I'll cover here speaks to that add follow-up feature. So the add follow-up feature is only available when you use mail merge from the beginning here. Unfortunately, there isn't a way to schedule follow-ups on an existing thread. I know that that's something that talent managers have made as a request before, but I like to think about the drip sequence tool as something that allows you to send a message one time, schedule that follow-up so that if they don't reply to you, you can say, send a second message. And so that can be really supportive in the case that you really want them to reply, but you don't want to have to go and hunt them down in your inbox to manually send that follow-up. So again, really a lot of flexibility in the tool here to say, send a message, and then go ahead and wait a couple days, send another message. Within the advanced tab here, this is where you'll see those additional configuration settings. This is where you can also include unsubscribe links. The tool is smart enough to recognize that if somebody replies and they're interested in working with you, the sequence will stop. If you send a message to 15 different agencies and you get out of office replies, The system is also smart enough to read those out of offices and continue the messages to be sent. So that's what those configuration settings mean. I know that's kind of a lot of information in a new tool that maybe some of you have never used before, but I'll pause here to see if anyone's typing any questions.
Hey, Amy, we don't have any questions so far. It seems that it's all good in the chat.
Okay, great. Well, seems like this time is flying by. I can't believe it's already at the 30-minute, and that's usually how long these classes are. So I don't want to go over too far. I do want to cover just one last thing within Streak here, and that is the search bar. And so something that's really helpful about using the search bar is you can use it within Gmail to search for any existing deals. You can also, if you work from a Mac, use what we call the command palette and use the 2 letters on your keyboard, command and the letter K. And this searches for everything inside Streak. So if I wanted to search for a specific pipeline and navigate to that pipeline, it takes me right there. If I wanted to search for a specific box, it takes me right inside the box as well. So Command K is a very powerful tool because it allows you to navigate around Streak a lot faster than just searching in your Gmail inbox. So that is just kind of what I briefly wanted to cover, the command palette and how Command K can be very helpful. But again, want to respect everyone's time here. I know we're right at the 30-minute mark. So this class is recorded. We'll make sure it's sent out after the class. And if there's any follow-up questions, you're welcome to email us at support@streak.com.